Revelation 4989. From the 27th and the 28th of October 1950. Working together in the kingdom beyond. Help the unknowings. Heartfelt love unites the spiritual beings in the kingdom of the beyond who no longer dwell in darkness, and therefore they also work with united strength as soon as they want to accomplish something for which their own strength is insufficient. That is, they can certainly already be recipients of strength in the beyond, but still to a limited extent as long as they are not yet perfected, that is, light beings which are in direct contact with God. Nevertheless, they can already be active according to their reception of strength. But if they work in unity, then everything they want is possible for them, yet their will is always equal to God's will. The common love of the spiritual beings mostly extends to the souls on earth and in the spiritual kingdom which still dwell in darkness. They seek to bring help to them, and where they do not succeed on their own, they unite for joint work and also have great success. All their efforts aim to bring light to the beings still in darkness, thus to enlighten them about their present and future state, but they can only do this in the form of mental transmissions. It is often difficult to exert mental influence on souls, especially those still on earth, because they turn more towards earthly life and also believe little in a continuation of the soul as well as in beings which are in the spiritual kingdom and want to have contact with people on earth. Then the strength of a loving soul is often not enough and it seeks help from equally mature friends in the kingdom of light. It is a process of extraordinary importance to transfer thought currents to the human being without forcing the will. It is an application of strength which is not allowed to break any resistance. And that is why these thought waves play around the human being's soul again and again and seek to gain entrance into the human heart, which emotionally turns towards such currents once it has opened itself. The opening of the heart is usually a consequence of miserable situations in life, of sorrow and suffering and disappointments of all kinds. This is why people's fate in life is often a chain of such sorrowful events, all of which are only intended to open the heart voluntarily when it is touched by currents from the kingdom of light, so that it will then be receptive for the thought currents imparted to it by the light beings as an effect of love. This is why these beings often intervene in life's fate in a decisive way, yet not according to their own will but according to God's will, who has entrusted people to them as his charges and thus also gives them the authority to influence them in such a way that their spiritual development is successful. And the light beings' work on the imperfect souls in the beyond is just the same. They have to be considered according to their respective state, and their course of development in the beyond is also incumbent on guardian spirits who are in knowledge and therefore also see every possibility which could bring help to the souls of darkness. The process of development in the beyond can go further upwards, but it can also go backwards, because even then the being's will is still free. Thus the will can only be influenced completely without constraint, which can only be judged by a light being and which is incumbent upon it according to God's will. But just as people on earth often unite in their work against God by adopting each other's views and also representing them to their fellow human beings, so united activity must also take place in the spiritual kingdom so that the human being's will on earth remains free and yet it is possible for it to change. Consequently, it is a perpetual battle of light against darkness which, however, is not fought with hostility and the will to destroy, as it is on earth, but is only waged with spiritual weapons by the light beings struggling for people's hearts, so that they voluntarily submit to their influence, so that they allow themselves to be guided in their thoughts and actions, so that they turn their thoughts away from the earthly world and towards the spiritual kingdom in which they shall one day lead the right life which will make them eternally blissful. Amen.